Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. So guys, we're reading a book which is Napoleon Hill, The Golden Rule of Success. So we are reading it chapter 3. So let's read it. The December issue of The Golden Rule marks the end of her first year, and I know it will not be constructed as an idle boast when I tell my readers that the seed we have sown through these pages during these 12 months are beginning to sprout and grow throughout the United States, Canada, and some foreign countries. Some of the greatest philosophers, teachers, preachers, and businessmen of the age have not only pledged us their hearty moral support, but they have actually gone out and rounded up subscription for us in order to help foster the spirit of goodwill that we are preaching. It is any wonder that your humble editor is happy. There are men who have much more of the worldly wealth to show for their 36 years of experience than I have. But I have no fear in challenging all of them to show a greater stock of happiness than I enjoy as a result of my work. Of course, it may be only a meaningless circumstance, but to me it is quite significant that the greatest and deepest happiness I have experienced has come to me ever since I began publishing this magazine. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Yes, it comes from the Bible, and it is sound philosophy that always works. And my 36 years of experience had proved conclusively that it does. The first time the notion ever struck me to own and edit a magazine some 15 years ago, my idea was to jump on everything that was bad and pick to pieces all that I didn't like. The gods of fate, the gods of fate must have intervened to keep me from starting such an enterprise at that time, because everything that I have learned in my 36 years of experience fully corroborates the philosophy in the above quotation. A suggestion for your Christmas list. I want you to be very happy this Christmas. Permit me to suggest a simple little service that you can render which ought to and probably would bring you great happiness and at the same time make others happy. Go out and buy some Christmas and New York cards. Write some sentimental little messages on these cards in your own handwriting. Then mail them not to your friends but to your enemies. Send a card to everyone who you ever disliked and to everyone whom you believed ever disliked you. Make the message you write on each card suitable for the person to whom you send it. It will not hurt you to try this. It may do much good. One thing sure, it will make you feel that you have been bigger, more broad-minded, and sympathetic this Christmas than you ever were before. This is a year when concession should be made by all of us. We have reason aplenty for changing our attitude toward our fellow men. We have been spread the yoke of culture which mean the world this time a year ago. We have stood at the graveside and watched old John Barleycorn as he was laid away forever. This and much more has happened that will make this a better world to live in. You are not satisfied with yourself anyway, and that is a healthy condition because no normal person is ever fully satisfied. You naturally want to make some change in your environment and in your habits for the new year that is approaching. May it not be possible that you could do now better than to start in now. At the beginning of the year 1920, with a firm determination to cultivate tolerance, sympathy, forgiveness, and a sense of justice toward all your fellow men, those you do not like as well as those you love. May it not be an excellent idea to begin new to cultivate the habit of self reliance, good cheer, and thoughtfulness for others. knowing, as you surely will know if you stop to think, that these same qualities will reflect themselves in those with whom you come in contact, and that will eventually echo back to you in greatly increased measure. We have all been narrow minded, selfish, and stingy in years gone by. We have fed our mind upon hatred, cynicism, and destruct. We have wished our neighbors ill future. We have laughed when they are in trouble. Then let us forget these mistakes we had made in the past, and just once, if for no other reason than to experiment, rise above our former self and be big-hearted and broad-minded. You cannot fill your heart with love and hatred at the same time. These two human emotions mean unconjugal companions. One of them they usually dominates, which may ask, what do you prefer to dominate in your heart? Which do you suppose would ultimately serve you best and raise you to the highest point of achievement? By all means, buy those Christmas cards and try the experience that I have recommended. It will bring a ray of sunshine into your life that will touch every atom of your being and cause it to radiate those qualities that promote the world to call a person great. True greatness is first manifested in one's heart. The world never discovers a greatness until the individual himself had discovered it. It may be a long while after you discover that you have risen above petty meanness, jealousy, hatred, and envy before the world discovers it. But one thing sure, this discovery will never be made by the world until it has been made by you. When you begin to feel in the bottom of your heart that a great soul develops within your body, that you commence the process of transformation from the old self to the new, it will be not long until your fellow men will commence making the discovery. You can make the first step in the direction of true greatness by ending those Christmas cards to all you have disliked and all whom you believe have disliked you. It will require effort on your part to do this. You will have to overcome that damnable quality of stubbornness, but you can do it, and it will worth doing. I do not know for sure, but I strongly believe that this experiment will be worth as much to you as anything that has ever happened in your life, provided that you are not one of those rare souls who have risen above those negative qualities that stand between most of us and the opportunity to enjoy happiness. And the only real success that can come to any human being, namely the chance to bring happiness to others. The biggest truth I have discovered in all of my experience is that it pays. Pays in both dollars and in sadness of mind. To learn to forgive and forget the ingratitude and the unkindness of others. It is a wonderful thing to be able to feel and know down deep in your heart that you have risen above the common human trait of striking back and exacting your pound of flesh for every wrong done you. Just how wonderful it is you can only know by trying it. Then try it this Christmas with use of those Christmas cards. Why some men succeed. I've made an important discovery, a discovery that may help you, whoever you are, whatever may be your aim in life to achieve success. It is not the touch of genius, which some men are supposed to be gifted, that brings success. It is not good luck, pull, or wealth. The real thing upon which most great fortunes were built, the things that helped man and woman rise to fame and high position in the world, is easily described. It is simply the habit of completing everything once begin, first having learned what to begin and what not to begin. Take inventory of yourself covering the past 2 years. Let us say that what do you discover? The chances are about 50 to 1 that you will discover you had made many ideas, started many plans, but completed none of them. In the series of lessons and applied psychology that are running serially in this magazine, you'll find one explaining the importance of concentration, followed by simple, explicit information on exactly how to learn to concentrate. You will do well to took that particular lesson up and study it over again. Study it with a new idea in mind, that of learning how to complete all that you undertake. You have heard instated in axiomatic phraseology ever since you were old enough to remember that procrastination is the thief of time. But because it seemed like a preachment, you paid no heed to it. That axiom is literally true. You cannot possibly succeed in any undertaking, whether it is large or small, important or otherwise, if you merely think of what you would like to accomplish and then sit down and wait for the thing to materialize without patient, painstaking effort. Nearly every business that stands about above the common run of similar business represent concentration on a definite plan or idea from which there has been but little, if any, variance. The United Cigarette Store's merchandising plan was built upon an idea simple enough, but upon which concentrated effort has been directed. The Piggly Wiggly retail stores were built on a definite plan through the principle of concentration, the plan itself being simple and easy of application to other lines of business. The Rexall drug stores were built upon a plan through the aid of concentration. The Ford automobile business is nothing more than concentration upon a simple plan. The plan being to give the public a small serviceable car for as little money as possible, giving the buyer the advantage of quantity production. This plan has not been materially changed in the last 12 years. The great Montgomery Ward and Company at Sears, Roebuck and Company, mail order houses represent two of the largest merchandising enterprises in the world, both having been built upon the simple plan of giving the buyer the advantage of quantity, buying and selling, and the policy of satisfying the customer or giving him his money back. Both of these great merchandising concerns stand out as mammoth monuments to the principle of sticking to a definite plan through concentration. There are other simple examples of great merchandising success that were built upon the same principle by adopting a definite plan and then sticking to it to end. However, for every great success to which we can appoint as a result of this principle, we can find 1,000 failures or near failures where no such plan has been adopted. I was talking to a man a few years before writing his editorial, a man who is bright and in many ways a capable businessman. But he is not succeeding for the simple reason that he has too many half-baked ideas and follows the practice of discarding all of them before they have been fairly tested. I've often him give a suggestion that might have been valuable to him, but he replied immediately, "Oh, I've thought of that several times, and I started to try it out once, but it didn't work." Note that words well. I started to try it out once, but it didn't work. There was where the weakness might have been discovered. He started to try it out. Readers of the Golden Rule mark these words. It is not the man who merely starts a thing who succeeds. It is the fellow who starts and who finishing in spite of help. Anybody can start a task. It takes the so-called genius to muster up enough courage, self-confidence, and painstaking patience of finish what he starts. But this is not genius. It is nothing but persistence and good common sense. The man who is actually rated with being a genius usually is, as Edison has so often told us, nothing of the time. He's merely a hard worker who finds a sound plan and then sticks to it. Success really, if ever comes all in a bunch or in a hurry, worthwhile achievement usually represent long and patient service. Remember the sturdy oak tree. It doesn't grow in a year or in two or even three. It requires a score of years of more to produce a fair-sized oak tree. There are trees that will grow very large in a few years, but their wood is soft and porous and they are short-lived trees. The man who decided to be sure salesman this year then changes his mind and tries farming the next year, and then switches again to selling life insurance the third year, is more apt to be a failure at all three. Whereas he stuck to one of those 3 years, he might have built a fair success. You see, I know a great deal about what I am writing because I made the same mistake for almost 15 years. I feel that I have a perfectly good right to warn you, and I will which may beset your pathway, because I have suffered many defeats on account of that evil, and consequently I have learned how to recognize it on you. The first of the January, the day for good resolution, is nearly set aside the day for due purpose, and you'll be quite linking to profit by having read this editorial. First, adopt a chief aim yourself for the next year at least, preferably from the next 5 years, and write out that aim word by a word. Second, determine to make the first plan in the chief aim platform read something like this: during the ensuing year I will determine as nearly as possible those tasks I shall have to perform from start to finish in order to succeed, and nothing under the sun shall divide my effort from finishing every task I begin. Nearly every man has intelligence enough to create ideas in his mind, but the trouble with the most is that those ideas never find expression in action. The finest locomotive on earth is not worth a shilling, nor will put a single pound of weight until the stored up energy in the steam dome is released at the throat. You have energy in that of your heads. Every normal human being has, but you are not releasing it at the total of action. You are not applying it through the principle of concentration to the task which, if completed, would you place you on the list of those who are regarded as success? As far as I can determine, the chief objection is secret race. It's the indisputable fact that they have a very decided tendency to render the human mind dopey and inactive. This is enough to condemn them, and because anything that regards a man's action or releasing of his ability through the habit of concentrating his mind on a task until it is finished is determined to his welfare. Usually, a man will release the flow of action that he has stored up in the head in connection with the task he delights in performing. This is the reason why a man ought to engage in the work that he likes best. There is a way of coaxing that wonderful mind of your ears to give up its energy and power it to into action through concentration upon some useful works. Keep on searching until you find the best possible way of releasing this energy. Find the work which you can release this energy most readily and most willingly, and you'll be mighty get near to the work in which you ought to find success. It has been my privilege to interview many so-called great men, men who are regarded as geniuses, and as encouragement to you, I want to tell you frankly that I would find nothing in them which you and I and all of the other ordinary fellows do not possess. They are exactly like us, with no more brains, something with less. But what they had, you and also I have, but do not always use, was the ability to release the action that is stored up in their heads and keep it concentrated on a task, great or small, until completed. Then accept to become an adept at concentration. The first learn to you try. Learn first, no concentrate upon the little things you do, the sharpening of a pencil, the wrapping of a package, the addressing of a letter, and so forth. The way to attain perfection in this wonderful art of finishing all that you start is to form the habit of doing this in connection with every task you perform, no matter how small. The first thing you know, this becomes a regular habit, and you do automatically without effort. Of what importance will this be to you? What a useless, silly question. But listen, and I shall answer it. It will mean the difference between failure and success. Crowd psychology. Just now, the world is undergoing a very impressive demonstration of the effort of crowd, or mob psychology. Psychologists have long known that the dominating spirit or trend of that in crowd will spread from one person until the crowd thinks and acts as one unit. This takes place oftentimes without a word being spoken and without any sort of demonstration. The very air seems to carry the dominating thought from one to another. During the war, a few greedy human beings saw an opportunity to gather in a few paltry shekels by preying on human needs. This spirit passed from one to another until Lu, the first thing we knew, profiteer, came into the limelight. Here is where the crowd psychology stepped in. This tendency to get something for nothing or for less, that is value, is one that cannot be curbed by legislation or any other sort of force except the force of persuasion. Every man who knows anything about the characteristics of the human mind knows that men will not refrain from doing wrong until they wish to do so. The change must take place in the human heart before there can be any permanent wish they do. Outward manifestation of it. The influence that can divert the human mind for its present tendency to get something for nothing is a subtle and unobtrusive force, a force that is something called education. You can pass laws and that will define the limits to which a man can go in a certain direction, but it is followed to believe that these laws cannot be defeated as long as the responsibility of tendency is to do what the laws forbid. Any law that a man can devise, some other man can defeat. The real place to begin the work of curbing the human tendency to get without giving in proportion to what is received is in the human heart. You can change a man's ethic and his acts only to the extent that you can influence his art and create a desire to do or not to do in a given action. What a wonderful opportunity the present offers the writers, philosophers, ministers, and editors of a daily mind and monthly magazine. These are encouraged in the business of influencing others and causing them to want to do a certain thing. They are the ones who have the media through which the mass find and influence it. A single year's concentrated effort by the writers and ministers alone, if they work in close cooperation with each other, would change the whole tendency of the mass mind. No thinking man or woman doubts if there is a subtle influence being exerted and being concentrated propaganda being carried out by on the revolutionary element of humanity. You just know. We must fight fire with fire. Is any human mind imaginative enough to force that would take place if every minister in the United States would pledge himself to mix with every sermon that he preaches during the ensuing 12 months, a liberally sprinkling of the golden rule philosophy, and show his followers exactly what is the economic value of practicing the philosophy in business. Is any human mind elastic enough to force by any possible threat of the imagination? Just what would mean if every newspaper in the United States would devote its editorial columns liberally to fostering the spirit of the golden rule in business from the ensuing 12 years or 12 months. Is there an educator or teacher whose mind is imaginative enough to foresee what they could be? Every teacher result if every teacher in the public school of the United States carried on a systematic concentrated campaign in the schoolrooms for the purpose of showing the school children of the America economic advantage of golden rule philosophy. Human beings will adopt the golden rule as a working basis when they begin to learn to really has an economic value. And that is the only basis upon which permanent monetary wealth and happiness can be attained. It is up to you, gentlemen of the ministry, and you, gentlemen, who manage and edit the newspaper and magazine, to make use of the wonderful opportunity to serve the masses which is not before. What are you going out to do with this great opportunity? The happy middle ground. The purpose of schooling of education is to develop in a person a sense of preparation. When a man begins to lose his sense of preparation to any subject, or before he develops this sense, is known as an eccentric or a person who is slightly off. Strictly speaking, we suppose there is no such thing as a perfectly balanced mind, but this is a sort of mind that evolution is undoubtedly aiming to develop. The well-educated person is a person who has developed a well-rounded sense of preparation to be really educated. A person must be somewhat of a philosopher. He must acquire the habit of studying cases by their effort, or inversely of studying effects by their causes. When he comes to analyze, inquire into, as concentrate, the component elements of any problem or subject you are beginning to develop a sense of preparation. The well balanced mind is an analytical, inquiring mind. Intolerance is one of the most destructive qualities with which the human race is cursed. We have reason to believe that an analytical, inquiring mind is seldom, if ever, intolerant. When a man renders judgment on any subject without having heard the evidence or examined into all of the available facts, he surely could not be called an analytic man. Nor it could be said of him that he had developed a fair sense of preparation. We do not believe that nature ever gives up her secrets or unfolds her scheme of things to the man who closes his eyes to all evidence and refuses to analyze, inquire into, or examine nature's handiwork. Let us remember that there is a cause for every effect. If the effect of our efforts in life is not pleasing, we should remember that it is a good plan to analyze and inquire into the cause. We are not succeeding. It is about 100 to 1 bet that we may find the cause by stepping to looking glass. We do not control all causes that affect us in this world, not by a judgeful, but may it not be possible that we do not control enough causes to change the effects we produce that are undesirable? May it not be possible that we can control enough causes to considerably change our attitude toward others and the attitudes of others toward us? Will you write out the chief aim that you intend to put into use on January 1st? Let me suggest that one of the planks in your platform read something after this fashion. During the ensuing year, I will make a special effort to develop a fair sense of preparation by making it a habit to analyze, inquire into, and examine the cause of all effects that in any way affect the object of my life work, my peace of mind, or my material success. So, thanks for watching this video. If you're watching this still, then hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And we have completed chapter 3. Now we are on chapter 4, when a man loves his work, which is not the reader. So it is not quite lengthy, it is very small compares if we comparison it with second and third chapter. So thanks for watching this video. Bye bye, see you again in next video.